Hello, welcome back to another random episode. We don't have a name for any of this, but today we are talking about politics. We're going to be talking about Jimmy Carter's funeral and the wildfires that are happening in California right now. So let's just get right into it. First and foremost, I want to say that what's happening in California is tragic. It's heartbreaking. It's terrifying. It's shocking. It is horrific. I can't believe the videos and the pictures that I'm seeing online. I have friends that are personally affected by it, that are trying to check on their homes, that are trying to use resources that have been evacuated, that have no idea if they're going to have anything to go home to. It's a terrible situation that is occurring in California. And as someone who sits on the East Coast and can't fathom any of this happening here, I do think that a lot of empathy is necessary for people that are truly experiencing this. So I just want to start off with that. But also, I think this video is going to have a lot more questions than, facts or answers, if you will. I don't think people come to me for answers. And considering that I have such a low viewership, I really don't think it matters like what I say or what I think. But I am still going to say it, though. I'm still going to say what I think, and I'm still going to question things that I want to understand more. But first, I do want to get into Jimmy Carter's funeral, because some things that I've noticed, just like even with all of the memes that are going around online of Obama and Trump seeming like they're keying it up and like they're kind of friends right now and they're just like chilling, to Melania's side eyes happening, to the Bidens not acknowledging the Harrises, all of that stuff. I really still feel like it's political theater that we are watching and that we are seeing and that we are shown, and that needs to be observed and spoken about more. Because what it looks like to me is, and I just want to say, like, I don't endorse either party. I think both parties are kind of batshit crazy, if you will. But what I will say is that I do not understand Obama having any sort of positive interaction with Trump, considering everything that they've told us that Trump is. He's Hitler. He's the worst thing to happen to America. I don't understand, even on a professional level, that someone would be able to sit next to and kiki and laugh it up with someone that they say is Hitler. I mean, something doesn't make sense. Either he's not Hitler or either you're okay with Hitler. So when I see stuff like that, and when I see the videos, and when I see the longer form videos, not just chopped up things that they feed us on social media and on the news, I really do wonder, that's crazy. And what it always brings me back to, and what I tried to get people like in my circle to understand when the pandemic was happening, was that all of these politicians are cool with each other behind closed doors. They utilize you and I to hate each other down here. They pretend to fucking hate each other in public when they're campaigning. Oh, he's Hitler. Oh, he wasn't even born in America, blah, 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 blah. And then they sit and they don't actually care if they're caught on camera hanging out with Hitler, because it doesn't matter to them, because they utilize you and I to hate each other down here at a fundamental level, at the bottom of the barrel. And yet they will be, and I know I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments that are be like, well, it was a funeral. They're being professional. They're not being childish. They're not blah, 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 blah. No. Because if he's Hitler, professionalism is out the fucking door. Don't even seat me next to that person. Don't even, absolutely not. Furthermore, on Trump's end, I don't even understand why he would want to even have an inkling of a conversation with the very people that called him all these things and that hate him publicly. That I don't understand. I will never understand how people can do that. One person that I observed who doesn't do that is Melania. And I, for one, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what anybody says. I like that woman. I like Eastern European women in general. I love Russian women, Slavic women. I just love their just, I don't know, they have it. In my mind, they are the it girls. And they do not play into politics as well as Americans do, being able to say, oh my gosh, you're Hitler, or you don't care about businesses. You only care about abortion rights. But then behind closed doors are like, hey, like that was good, right? You heard it. Okay, yeah. No, she's not doing that. What I watched when I saw this funeral was her just being very like how she normally is. And people can't stand a woman, even the people that hate men, the women that hate men, and the feminist movement, and misogyny is everywhere, and toxic masculinity, and blah, 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 blah. Even those women cannot stand that this woman doesn't provide any emotion really publicly. They just can't stand it. They think that she is just cold-hearted and blah, blah, blah. She's Eastern European. Like, let's get it through our heads. Have you met one in real life? Do you know one? That I love that she was just like, no, I'm not fucking talking to you. Like, we don't get along. And whether or not, I think it's like it could be a female thing, could be a women thing, because men have this way of just being like, yeah, you definitely tried to screw me over, but I'm gonna be your friend. Like, we can just, women are not, most women, like at our core, I would be like, if I were her, yeah, no, y'all fuck with my husband, so yeah, I hate you for life. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how I'd be. I wouldn't say a fucking word. Let them call me unprofessional. Let them say that I don't have any empathy. Let them say that I don't care. But what I'm not gonna do is pretend and break bread with our enemies, regardless of whether or not we think that they're enemies or whatever. They don't like each other. So why would they act like it? I'm so interested in how Bush has been able to turn around his narrative, because when I was younger, I was told that he was basically the Trump of then. And now he's just been able to kind of probably hide behind Trump's brand, right? Trump's brand is very like, if you can even call it a brand, it's just very poor delivery in what he says. He doesn't care what he says. A lot of it's childish. Like when John will tell me something that was tweeted or whatever, I'm like, why the fuck is he saying that? Like, what the fuck? And like, we're both like, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Like, it is crazy. And it is shocking that someone at that level would talk the way that he does. But it's working for some people. There are people who like him. So I don't understand. Like, one thing that I am interested in is how Bush has been able to, like, we saw the video clip of him giving someone like a nice like belly tap thing, and it's like, I thought they didn't like each other. So for me, I just feel like it was, a bunch of past presidents, wives, vice presidents, all of this that got along, except for the Harrises. I feel like they kind of stayed to themselves, really. I do feel like the Bidens and the Harrises don't get along. Like, I have felt like that for a while. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Biden chose her because he felt like he needed to do something to pander to the Black and brown community. And that's just like my honest opinion. I don't care if you don't agree with it, because it's an opinion. That's not a fact. But I just feel like he really didn't like her for some reason. And now they don't have to pretend. I mean, it's 10 days out or something from the inauguration. Nobody has to pretend. And she doesn't like him. Meanwhile, she covered for him for fucking 3 years and tried, and tried to convince the public that he was not declining. And so I feel like if I were her, I'd be like, this is how you're treating me after I just, like, I would, a tell-all book would be written so fast if I was her. It's always interesting when we see these massive political figures get together and are civil around one another. When I know people in my personal life that can't even work in the same building as a Trump supporter, or can't even work in the same building as a Harris supporter, that they just cannot get along. They just cannot go out for a beer, and they don't have to, right? That's the luxury we have. We don't have to be in spaces, really, if we really don't want to, with people that we don't agree with politically. But what I notice is that politicians will always put themselves in positions and spaces with politicians that they don't agree with in order to still keep them in their back pocket for whenever they can use them to sell an idea to us to make us hate each other more and have them get nothing done. And I just cannot believe that we still, as American people, can just look at that funeral and be like, well, they had to be cordial. They didn't have to fucking be cordial. Melania, if it's real, it's real. It's like you watch a basketball game and then afterwards all the players are hugging and hanging out with each other from the opposite team. No. We are enemies. Because if you're going to spew hate from the top to get us all at the bottom to hate each other personally in our personal lives, where we have to really deal with real shit, where we really have to go to work and try to pay bills, but you guys can sit up here and make us hate each other if we're stupid enough to. Most of us are. Most people even probably watching this are stupid enough to hate the person next to them because they don't agree on a couple things. I don't think that Obama and Trump agree on abortion, and yet they look like they were just like they look like they just had like a little fucking catch up moment in the back, and they were just still talking about the things that they just spoke about in the behind the curtain. I was like, where is I was like, is it because Michelle wasn't there to keep your ass in fucking check? Because don't we remember, we don't like him? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, come on. That's my opinion on that situation. I just always find it interesting when politicians can come together with Hitler and can come together with people that are so polarizingly opposite than them. Down here, we got people losing friends, families, jobs, kids, because they don't agree with something. That's just my personal opinion. Now, the fires in California, I know that people say that it shouldn't be political, and don't make it political. It's a disaster. I personally feel like, how is it not political? How is it not political? How are most of the things that we experience as a whole in this country not due to our politicians that we elect? I have more questions than anything. And I'm just going to lay out my questions. And what I want to say before getting into this is that you're allowed to question any and everything. I have never been the type of person to be like, you told me, oh, okay, yeah, no, why, how, who, where, when, really? I don't know. Maybe not. You sure? Question. There is an entire population of people that don't like people who simply question things. I'll give you an example. I wrote on my Facebook, I just said, how does California not have enough water? Meanwhile, we opened up, and dumped excess water into the ocean to help save a certain kind of fish. This is something that, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's something that Trump said. That's something that Trump said. I actually went in further with it, but you have to Google it a certain way, because whenever you Google something, it's going to automatically say that Trump is lying. I've noticed that. So if you just Google it a little bit around the bout way, like kind of like agreeing that he lied, and then you read more and you click more links and you find out and you get to articles where farmers are giving their experiences and the environmentalists are fighting against that, and it's like a battle between the two. You kind of find a little bit of, okay, that did happen, so why? So I asked that question. I said on Facebook, I said, why did that happen? I could not believe the amount of comments that I got saying, how could you say such a horrible thing during such a terrible time? Did I say let everyone burn in hell? No. What? I asked a question. How could you write a post just for attention? You have almost 70,000 followers. You need to take more responsibility for the things you post. A question? And so many people were like, I follow you because I like your videos, but now I see your true colors. Well, see them. I don't know. It's all black. I don't have colors. It's all fucking black. And I will question something. And the thing is, I don't care if that makes you uncomfortable. Why was California not more prepared? It's okay to ask a question. How is it that we have environmentalists that can predict that the ocean is going to rise by, I'm looking at the river, but that it's going to rise by 2.5 inches in 500 years, but we can't predict that a wildfire may happen in the next town over? In a state where wildfires happen every single year, how is it that the people in California are suffering this much? How is it that the water supply is not in copious amounts? And I understand that, they're saying, well, we weren't just not ready for a fire of this capacity. Well, why though? No research done, no predictions done, nothing ever done. How do we know that the earth is going to be 10 degrees hotter in 1 billion years, but we don't think maybe this could happen here and we should prepare for it? I started, doing my own research and just wondering how in a country so advanced, in a state that is so progressive and taxes so much, so high, that we are cutting the budget. We are cutting budgets from necessary places. I don't even know where that money went. I don't know where it went. I saw a lot of people posting, which I don't live in California, but I live in New York, and we kind of have, it's kind of the same thing. I saw a lot of people posting, how is it that we cut the budget for that, but meanwhile, everybody can access their needles on the street? And I said, good question. Those people getting roasted in their comments, getting ate up, however you want to say it. I look at that and I'm like, you know what? That's a great question. Why? How do we have enough money to give needles out for people to do no good to themselves, but there's not, but we cut the budget. Yeah, it brings up more questions. And I feel like the mismanagement of money by politicians it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. And we as the people of America, all we do is shrug our shoulders, we suck our teeth, right? Because who's going to make a difference? I'm not going to make a difference. Complaining online, like a lot of you guys are going to say that I'm doing, or talking online, doesn't do anything. I had somebody DM me why don't you put up a donation thing in your story? Because if I look back at my story link clicks, nobody clicks them. So I'm not putting up a story for a link where no one's going to click them. This is on my personal, not my business. Why would I do that if no one clicks the links in my story? Just to show you that I care. This is to show you that I care. Performative, So I feel like a lot of it I just don't understand how in a state where this happens all the time, and furthermore, considering that wildfires happen all the time, I was trying to understand exactly how they happen. How does a fire, how does it and excess debris from previous fires, leaves laying all over the place, trees falling down, and the environmentalists don't want anyone to touch those things. Do not. But I'm like, that could start a fire. So it's interesting because you're not allowed in some places in this country, in the suburbs, you're not allowed to let your leaves pile up in your front fucking lawn. You have to clean them up or you're going to get a fine from the city. Meanwhile, we have forests where leaves have been laying there for years piling up. How? And it's interesting because nobody questions anything. They take what they're told and they're like, okay, this happened. It doesn't make any sense to learn why it happened. It just happened. But there's got to be a way to if we can't prevent these things from happening, there's got to be a better way to go about handling it and predicting that it could happen. If you can predict this, if the stock market can predict a company doing well in 10 fucking years, and if the environmentalists can predict that half of these random types of pigs are going to be extinct in 300 years, we can't predict that a wildfire could come to the Palisades in California. I don't know. And it seems like, of course it's political, but what I'm seeing is it's the typical blame game, right? It's like Gavin Newsom is saying that the electrical companies shut off the electricity and then the electrical company is like, no, we didn't do that. And then Trump's like, it's because they were trying to save a fish. And the environmentalists are like, no, we didn't do it. It's like everyone's fucking pointing fingers. No one's taking responsibility. There are ways to deal with this better. And it's by not mismanaging money and cutting budgets of necessary fire departments, helicopter pilots, all things that would help in this situation. And apparently, I believe, was it the mayor, the governor, somebody was warned that by cutting budgets like this would be diabolical if a wildfire were to start. And politicians, you gotta love them. They fucking know everything, right? They're the smartest fucking dumbass people. They were like, well, no, we're still gonna do it. And where'd the money go? And how is it that it's never the homes of the politicians? It's always the people. And I know that that's going to fall on deaf ears. That doesn't matter. That's not even a big deal. But isn't it interesting? There's never a politician affected. And someone's going to find one probably in the comments. They'll be like, oh, little senator on the whatever lower part of the Palisades lost her fence. But it's always the politicians just watching their people suffer. And the president's going to pay for the cleanup for the first 180 days. And Gavin Newsom is like so happy about this. Where the fuck is the president getting the money from? Where does the government get their money from? What do you mean? The people are paying for it. The people are paying for the negligence of the politicians. I don't understand. When I read his tweets, I just want to thank POTUS for pledging to clean it up for 180 days. So our money. I just, I don't know. I feel like more questions than not. And this is also going to not make sense. And like I said, a lot of this is not fact-based. This is just my opinion. So you can fact check in the comments, whatever. But doesn't it look bad when we have sent so much money to the Ukraine and yet destruction is at our front door? I know the two are not related, but if a 5-year-old could be like, well, how come it's just billions and billions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine and 180 days of cleanup on the taxpayer's dime to California? Are you shitting me? I mean, it's all taxes, right? At the end of the day, it's all taxes. Our taxes went to the Ukraine, but 180 days. What should happen, and I don't even know if I agree with me on this. What should happen is everyone who had their home destroyed should have it rebuilt for free. That should be on the taxpayer dime. Because if we are going to send billions of dollars to the Ukraine, we can spend billions of dollars to rebuild every single fucking home and business. That's my personal opinion. So you want to talk about where I would want my tax dollars to go? I don't want it to go to fucking needles for people who make bad decisions every day. I would like it to go to people who lost their homes, lost their families, lost their pets, lost their lives, lost their businesses, lost their safety, their peace of mind, everything, their photos, their wedding dresses, their wedding rings, their everything, their computers with memories on them. That is where I would want it to go. That's where I would want it to go. And I know that probably hurt some people when I said people who make bad decisions every day. I get it. Addiction, but it's a decision. Every day that I decide to go to Sephora because I'm addicted to makeup is a decision. Every day that I decide to drink alcohol, which is not every day, but if I did and I was addicted to alcohol, it's still a decision to drink it. No one's fucking forcing you. It's a decision. I would rather see the tax money go to rebuilding. And the other last part I just want to touch on is that some people are happy that this is happening. I would never be the one to kind of dance on somebody else's absolute tragedy. And they're saying like, oh, this is just a rich area, rich town, eat the rich, blah, blah, blah. Like there's a lot of Christians that are saying that God cannot be mocked. And I feel like at that point, none of us are in that position to really try to bring anything biblical into something that we don't really understand that's happening. And I also just don't think that it's in good faith to kind of laugh. I do see a lot of people that are being affected by this that are multi-millionaires. Do I feel bad for them? No. Am I happy that it's happening? No. Do I have friends that things are happening to that are not multi-millionaire over and over again? They have another house somewhere. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the businesses because I am a business owner. And I understand that insurance is going to screw everyone over because that's what insurance does. Number one, it's a scam. But I can also understand where people are coming from. It's hard to sympathize and empathize with a celebrity who built their $10 million house there. It is sad that they lost all their memories and things like that. But it is hard to care about them when there are people who just like live there and have a coffee shop there, or a nail salon, or a hair salon, or a waxing, or an office. That to me is going to pull on my heartstrings more than all of the major celebrities are going to utilize this in order to get clicks and views. But yeah, I feel like we should be questioning. We should be always asking questions. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about politics. For some reason, that is the one thing people are afraid to talk about when it kind of runs everyone's life. I feel like we should talk about it more. So yeah, that's what I think about all of that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Bye.